Hey test takers, in today's video we will be discussing one of the most notorious topics in the SAT English section, the vocabulary questions. To start off, we'll be going through chapter 1, basic root words. Here we have a word. I'll just underline it. This word can be broken down into its basic roots, which is anti plus dis plus establishment plus Aryan plus ism. Alright, you see how we broke down these words into its different root words? Well, this is called basic root words. Although this word may look really ridiculous, and we promise you, you will never see it on a standardized test, but it's a good example of how roots can help you break up a word like this. Alright. So let's move on to some basic words. Words starting with, I'll just draw a line here, write it with blue. Starting with. Alright, let's do words starting off with a. It normally means without or not. Let's take an example of this. Let's say if you're let's take the word apolitical. This word means that you're not a political person, so it means that you're not a political person. You're not a political person. Let's take another word. Let's take another word. If you're amoral, this means that you're not concerned with the morality of the situation or person. I think situation would be more correct. You're not concerned. So we see here a being used for without or not. Although we should not get too carried away with it, as the prefix only works if placed in front of another root. Alright. Next word we can take is an, or which normally means against. Alright. Let's take some other words. Remember, these words are root words or prefixes. Alright. Let us take a word anaerobic. Let me underline A. This means exercise without air. We can take another word like anagram, which means a word whose letters have been scrambled. Let's take this word can be an anagram for apple, and this is an anagram. Alright, so the next root word is a very common and easy one, anti. So this normally means against or opposite. Anti-cancer. So here anti will underline it. And this obviously means anti-cancer is a drug which fights cancer. We can also take anti-authority, which means opposed to authority figures. We can take anti. Here, the word anti can have a hyphen on it, so it'll be even more easier for all of you. Federalist. So you see the word anti now is having a hyphen before it. So some questions can have a hyphen before it, which makes it even more easier to identify what the word means. So here it means opposed or against excessive federal power. All right. So another prefix we can use, or another root word we can use, is auto, which means self. Let's take the word autograph. This is one's self unique. Most people say that an autograph is a type of signature, but it's actually one's self unique handwriting. Handwriting. We can take another word like an autobiography. Here, auto is the prefix or the root word, which means writing a book or writing a biography about yourself. Pretty easy, right? Alright, let's move on to some other words like co or con. This normally means with, together, kind of. Alright, so we can say a word like co-authors. Pretty easy. I mean, it's self-explanatory, but let's say co-authors means collaborating on a book together. Collaborating is the same meaning as together or with together. We can take co-workers as working together. Here, co and co. We can also take colleagues. Hopefully this is the right spelling. Which normally means working together. So if one doesn't know the word colleague, it means working together. So let's just end it for now and just write how they would give a question. So they can ask a sample question by giving a paragraph about, let's say the paragraph is about working conditions, okay? And they leave a blank and the paragraph goes on. This paragraph is about working together on any topic, okay? And then you'll be given questions to choose, options to choose from: A, B, C, D. Okay, and each will have its own words. So let's say one will be colleagues. They can ask co-owners. Even though this may sound like working together, it doesn't have to be. Okay, so this can be a trick question also. And then there can be anti-federal. Now all of these, for now we can rule out option C because anti-federal wouldn't be related to working together. Ex-worker wouldn't be related either because we are giving more preference to the word ex, because ex normally means someone who is not working with you or not with you. So it can be either colleagues or co-owners. Now this here, both co does mean working together, but then you have to read the context of the paragraph. They can ask you questions which is direct by just knowing the root word, but some questions will need you to understand the context of the situation before answering. So here, when you're based on working together, we mean colleagues. We don't necessarily have to mean co-owners. Even though both can be right, the one which makes more sense, which is colleagues over here, will be the correct answer. So even though co-owners might be right, it doesn't always have to be 100% right. So colleagues will be majoritively correct. Alright, so let's move on to the next root words. An easy one, contra, which means against. let's use the word contradict. So this means, contradict normally means against something oneself has supported. We'll take an example. It was contradicting that the democratic ruler practiced unfair means to win the election. Alright, so here the word contradicting is being used. So you see here the sentence is, it was contradicting that the democratic ruler, I wrote rules. Ruler XYZ practiced unfair means to win the election. So here you would assume a democratic ruler to use the power of votes in an election by doing whatever oneself wants to do, which is under the law, to win an election. But this person used unfair means, which is contradicting towards one's democratic behavior. Okay, so we can't call this person a democratic ruler. So it's quite contradicting. Let's use another word, contrary, which means an opinion against a majority. Alright, we can also use a word, controversy. Although the word is contro, it's not contra, so it doesn't end with a, it can still be used. We can say controversy is when two or more people disagree. Alright, so the next word we can use is DE basically. To reduce or remove. Alright, let's say when you go to an ATM, you deduct money from your account. If you want to withdraw some money, you deduct money from your bank account. So remove something from a source. Here the source of money would be the ATM. We can use, let's say you're driving a car and you see a speed breaker and you're driving maybe 120 kilometers an hour. So you deaccelerate. You don't stop, you deaccelerate. Which means it's the opposite of accelerate. It could mean also reducing the speed. Alright, let's say you want to dethrone a king. So this means to remove a king from a throne. Remove a king or queen from its throne. Another word you can use is debug. To remove bugs from a piece of code or a line of code. Here, when we say bugs, we don't mean literal bugs. It means basically errors or logical errors in code. Alright. So the next word we can use is X, which normally means out. Here I did use X for a different reason, like X worker, but it can mean different things. Like X worker would be someone who left a country, X worker could be someone who quit his job and went outside his place of work. So here we can take, for example, we can take exhale. Here X will be here. To breathe out air. We can use the word excavate to dig out. We can say ex-congressman. Which means a congressman left or came out of Congress. Alright, next we can use, I'll move to the next page. Next we can use is M or N, which means not or can mean without. Alright, here we can use the word impossible, which means impossible. Here I am is being the root word, so impossible means not possible. Another word we can use is inappropriate, which means not appropriate. Alright, another word we can use is, another root word, we can use is magna. A pretty simple one actually, which normally means great or large. Let's take a word magnificent. So this word, this root word actually doesn't have to be the same. Instead of A, we're using I. So we can still use the meaning of the root word, which is normally great or large. So magnificent normally means something of great achievement. Another word we can use is magnify, which means to make something larger. Another word we can use is magnate, which means a great person or powerful person when it comes to business. A great person in business. Alright, an easy one, miss. 1 minute, miss. I'll underline it. This word normally means bad, wrong, or even hate. Let's say we can use the word misbehave. Here the root word is miss. This means bad behavior. Another word is misprint. Let's say you wanted to print something out and you printed the wrong file. So that means you misprinted something. So to print a wrong thing or document. Alright, another root word is morph, which means shape. Alright, you can use a word metamorphosis. Here, since this is a special word, you can this root word is inside a word. It doesn't have to be a prefix. It's inside the word. So you see it's being sandwiched between meta and osis. So this means it occurs when a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. Now that we know the meaning of morph, let's do a trick question. The question is, what is the meaning of, I'll write this in yellow. Actually, no, that was a bad idea. I'll write it in red. Amorphous. You can pause the video to think about it. Make sure you understand the concept of morph as well as, I think, the beginning one, which was a. So remember the meaning of a and the meaning of morph, and accordingly answer this question. You can pause the video for some time and think about the answer. Alright, the answer for this question, let's break it down actually before we even get to the answer. Here we have amorphous. Just like the first word we did in the beginning, which was, I don't even want to pronounce this word, but I will, anti-disestablishmentarianism. Alright, so let's break down this word. We can use it as a plus morphous. So a normally means something which is not, and morphous is to shape. So doesn't that make more sense? Something, we can say amorphous means not shape. So something having no shape. So, and this is the correct answer, by the way. The correct answer is something which is having no shape. So a pretty easy question actually, but it just, they use different root words to try trick you. So we can move on to the next root words. Okay, moving on to the next root word, we have none. Oh, let me write it. The next root word we have is none, which normally means not or without. Two root words can have the same meaning. It's just we use these root words to identify the meaning of words we don't know. Alright, so we can say nonsense, which means an idea an idea without sense, without any sense. So here non would be the prefix. Next word we can use is non-fiction. The word non-fiction means maybe a type of writing not containing any fictional characters, so not containing fictional characters. Alright, moving on to the next root word, we have omni, which means all. We can take the word as omniverse. So it means, let me just underline the root word omni. It means animals that eat all foods. Let's say omniscience, a tough word actually. So instead of normally meaning all science, it means to know all science, to know all, basically. Here we use the word science because everything in our world is science. So we use the word, instead of science, we use know all. Another word we can use is omnipotence. And omnipotence means quality of being all powerful. So normally when you have the word omni in a paragraph, so what I normally do is, not, of course it's not easy to understand omnipotence as all powerful. So normally when the word omni is there, it normally shows dominance of something or someone. So you can use that keeping in mind for your SAT English questions. So the next root word we have is peri, which means around. Alright, the word peri. We can use the word perimeter, which means basically means around, the length around an object. Length around an object. Here peri is the root word. We can use peripheral, which means vision to see around your normal sight. Another root word is post, which normally means after. An example of the word post is postpone. Here post is the root word. Postpone, which normally means changing the plan to some other time. Another word we can use is maybe post game. Let's say a post game interview with a football player. Pretty easy. So it shows something after a game. Here something can be an interview or maybe a challenge or something. Alright, a tough one, which means a post-mortem. Actually, post-mortem is one word, I'm pretty sure. A tough word with the use of post is, a tough word we can use is post Mortem. Okay. Post normally means after, as we know, but keyword mort, which I haven't taken as a keyword because it isn't used mostly at all in the SAT, but it can be used for this word. Mortem or mort is normally used for death. So mort is usually for death. So post mortem would be after death. So the next root word would be pre, which means before. All right, so we can say prepare, which normally means get ready before the task. Another word we can use is pre-game. Let's say pre-game of a footballer again. So normally they would do a warm-up pre-game to their match. So before a game. Another root word we can use is re, which means, you guessed it, again. A pretty simple one. So we can use the popular one, repeat, which means to do a task multiple times or do it again. Maybe you can use the word refresh. So if you watch this video on a browser and it's lagging, so you refresh the page. So to open a page again. We'll take it in this context of a web page. To open a web page again. This is an example in context. Alright. Next key root word is sub. Sub, which means under. Now, some words you can use, maybe subway. Not the restaurant, the railway, basically. A subway is a railway underground with the root word as sub. Another word we can use is submarine. An automobile underwater with the prefix of sub. Now we can use the word substandard, which doesn't necessarily have to use the word under. So substandard. This normally means under average standards. So they can use this word in your SAT exam. Alright. Another root word is super, which normally means higher or better. Now, let me underline it. Super. A word we can use is Superman with the prefix or root word as super. A better human with his x-ray vision or super strength. Again, using the word super for super strength means higher strength or better strength. We can use super sonic. Not the character, the word. Supersonic, which normally means supersonic planes which travel faster than sound. So they are faster or better. So this is an example in context. Example in context. You can even take the word Super Bowl. And this time I am talking about the game, the competitive American football game. So it is considered the best football game of the season. Another root word we have is trans, which means across. We can use the word. Now, mostly when we use the word trans, it's pretty self-explanatory. For example, transfer, which means to move something. Here, trans being the root word. Next, we have transmit. To move something across. Here, trans again being the root word, means transmit to transmit sound, for example, sound across a distance, which is an example in context. So we have some bonus word roots, or maybe just some words basically. So let's use the word circumnavigate. Now these are just simple words, so I'll just be giving the direct meaning. So circum normally means, circum is to get around. Alright, and the word navigate to using directions to get somewhere. Using directions to get somewhere. Another word we can use is scribe, or maybe we can use scribe normally means to draw / write something, or they can ask circumscribe. Circumscribe is normally meaning to draw a line, around the set limits. So here the word circum is one root word and scribe is another root word. Alright, and this can be broken down like that. Alright, another word which we can use, circumvent. Okay, here we already know the meaning of circum, but the meaning of vent. Okay, vent normally means to reach / go somewhere in a clever or usually or occasionally dishonest way. These are some of the words which are given a lot in the SAT English section, because the College Board love to use majority of these words which I've given just now as bonus word roots. So make sure to like and subscribe, and check out the next video where I will be solving some practice questions for the vocabulary section. So make sure you don't miss that. You can hit the bell icon so that you don't miss when I upload the next video. Thank you for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe.